Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, student athletes, parents, fans, brothers, sisters. For those of you new to the school, my name is Tanner Rice, and I am the athletic director here at MCS. I am excited to speak with you this evening about the Athletic Department Code of Ethics, which we call the Eagle Standard, and its importance to Maryville Christian School as a whole. Alright, before I give you a little agenda for the meeting tonight, I want you to imagine something. Imagine an athletic competition without rules. Take basketball, for instance. There are no boundaries, there are no referees, players can tackle each other, run with the ball as if on the football field, and players can choose how much they want a basket to count for. There's fans running all over the court, people are throwing popcorn everywhere. What you're visualizing is utter chaos. And though it might not look as drastic, an athletic department without a code of conduct will be chaotic, hypocritical, and counterproductive to the mission of athletics. This presentation will cover the purpose of a code of ethics for any school or organization, really. I'll explain the expectations we have of our stakeholders, and I'll show you how best to communicate this code before finishing with an explanation of the disciplinary action that someone may face should they violate the code of ethics, whether that be a student athlete, a coach, or a parent. I'll then summarize the presentation and explain what a well-publicized code of ethics could do for our school. A code of ethics should support a mission statement. It should be the framework for the way stakeholders conduct themselves as members of a school or organization, whether that's on the field or the court or out in the community. The mission of the MCS Athletic Department is to instill character, integrity, and life skills in our student athletes so they will be healthy, contributing members of society who inspire our stakeholders to honor God in every walk of life. The code defines acceptable and unacceptable behavior not just at athletic events, but as members of the community. Promoting a code of ethics presents an enormous amount of responsibility to our school, and we should welcome that responsibility. We will be held to a higher standard because of it, and this standard will be synonymous with the MCS brand and will help our athletic department embrace an appreciation for competition and develop a reputation of integrity in the community. It also serves to protect the safety of athletic competition participants, from the coaches to the players to the fans. Responsibility and expectations. All stakeholders within the athletic department will be held responsible for adhering to the code of ethics. This includes coaches and faculty, the student athletes, and parents and spectators. Guests will also be held to the same standards of our stakeholders. Student athletes. Whether on or off the court or field, a student athlete is a representative of the Maryville Christian School and must understand that participation in the MCS Athletic Department is a privilege and not a right. Student athletes must recognize that their abilities are a gift from God, and they should give their best in practice and competition for His glory, not their own. They should display a positive and respectful attitude towards their coaches, teammates, opponents, fans, and the rules of competition. They should respect game officials and their decisions at all times. Athletes should not approach an official unless given permission by the coach and must do so in a respectful and humble manner. They should respect the coach's authority and never question a coach's decision in front of the team. If an athlete has a concern, the coach should be approached privately. They should embrace the experiences of competition by being humble in victory and gracious in defeat. And they should lead by example in the classroom, behaviorally, and academically. Parents and fans are a vital part of the success of MCS athletics, and we encourage positive participation. Parents must complete mandatory parent-athlete training for each individual team prior to the beginning of the season. Training will cover specific examples of what is expected from parents and spectators. Student athletes will not be allowed to participate in a sport until at least one parent has completed the training. Parents must edify and encourage players, refrain from derogatory cheers, comments, or taunting of any kind. Parents must delegate the responsibility and authority for their child and the team to the coach. They must refrain from coaching in the stands. This is a distraction to the entire team, disrespectful to the coach, and counterproductive to the growth of the student athletes. Parents must refrain from confronting an official or coach before, during, or after an athletic event. Parents must refrain from approaching the team bench. This area is for coaches, players, officials, and athletic department staff only. And parents must supervise children and siblings at all times to ensure their safety and that of the contest participants. A code of ethics means nothing if people do not know about it. A reference to the athletic code of ethics is made in the school handbook, and that directs people to the athletic handbook. The athletic handbook contains specific requirements and guidelines for participation, information about fees, among other things, but it will also have a code of ethics section that highlights in detail what is expected of individuals, as we have covered in this presentation. More important than anything is to proactively educate stakeholders on the code. This will be done through a mandatory training before each athletic season, as mentioned earlier. Also, we need to be proud of our code of ethics, and we want people to see it, so we will publish it in our game programs. This also allows guests to understand what is expected of them. Unfortunately, there will inevitably be someone who continually exhibits behavior in violation of our code of ethics. It will happen, and we need to be ready when it does. A player who receives an in-school Saturday suspension will not be allowed to participate in the next game. The suspension will begin as soon as the athlete has been informed. 2 in-school suspensions will result in discipline equal to a first out-of-school suspension, as I will explain in a bit. 3 in-school suspensions will result in the removal from their respective team, and they will not be allowed to participate in MCS athletics for the remainder of the school year. A player who receives an out-of-school suspension will not be allowed to participate in 1 week of athletics and must miss 2 games. A player who receives 2 out-of-school suspensions will be removed from the respective team and will not be allowed to participate in MCS athletics for the remainder of the school year. These punishments may seem harsh, but we really believe they are in the best interest of our program and our school. Parents whose conduct is deemed inappropriate by the athletic department will need to meet with the athletic director in person to discuss why their behavior was inappropriate and what can be done in the future to avoid such behavior. They will also be mailed a letter acknowledging their behavior and explaining expectations for the future. Please don't make me get to this point. You have such a big influence on these kids, and your behavior is probably what they see and recognize most. please lead by example. Unfortunately, just last year I had to suspend a coach for violating the code of ethics. His actions actually had nothing to do with a school or athletic activity, but it certainly reflected poorly on the school, and he needed to be disciplined accordingly. Coaches will also meet with the athletic director if their behavior is deemed inappropriate, and will receive a letter explaining their behavior that will be kept in their permanent file. I have a very short leash on my coaches when it comes to their conduct. A repeated offense is very likely to result in the termination of their employment, although every incident is looked at separately. The purpose, again, of the Code of Ethics is to explain acceptable behavior within the athletic department that represents the athletic department's mission statement. It eliminates the chaos and hypocrisy that goes with a lack of rules and direction. The benefits and adherence to a code of ethics is that it provides the framework for coaches and teammates to develop the moral character of each other. Our goal with this code of ethics is that it to be contagious with other schools and change the selfish, hedonistic attitudes of coaches, athletes, and fans that can destroy the purpose and value of interscholastic athletics. By publicly showing and committing ourselves to this code, we will gain the respect of the community, which will encourage more families to join our athletic department and in turn grow the school. I look forward to implementing this code as well as seeing you for our first training session. Thank you and have a nice evening.